Mindset Monday. Today we are talking about the past, present, and future. It would go under the continuation of do you believe in yourself? And if you were with us last week, we talked about the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. This also falls under that category. So if you haven't watched those videos yet, I would go back and watch those. This will make a little more sense. And then on top of that, if you don't have the Fearless book by Brindley Shapiro that we've been kind of pulling some from, it's one that I've been reading. It's one that's really impacted me. So it's just kind of some stuff that I learned that I'm just sharing with you. The other thing I want to keep in mind is, I'm giving you bits and pieces. That book is like so much information, and we could just talk for hours about what my interpretation or what I get from the book. But the best thing to do is just get the book and read it, and it's going to speak to you in the way that you need to. It's going to meet you where you are, and then it's going to start working on helping you put a plan together to start growing your mental game and start helping you find where you need to be mentally to help you find the success that you're looking for. So just keep that in mind. So I'm just like grabbing bits and pieces that I think are just huge things that I think relate really well to the players that I teach. And specifically today, this one really hits home for me personally, and a lot of time where I have to come back and recheck myself on the court and during my training sessions. Okay, so let's jump into it. So past, present, and future. This is where you spend your time mentally. And to just start out, one of the biggest mistakes that we make is we become mind readers. We start mind reading, and then three things really start working on holding us back. Thinking about what others are thinking, especially about us, but in general. Jumping to conclusions, whether it's based off of what we think they're thinking or just based off the situation, and then making generalizations based on the situation or an interaction. Those are things that, believe it or not, we've all done it, I'm sure. That's a huge mistake, and that's a good way to stop our growth, both immediately and even if it's temporary. But a lot of times, if we spend a lot of time there, it's a long-term growth of keeping us from being able to grow. So this is more of a fixed mindset, and we want to transition to a growth mindset. Okay, so past, present, and future. Where do you spend majority of your time in your head, between your ears? So past thinking is filled with lots of shoulds and should-haves. Spend time beating yourself up, or all your accomplishments is all you're accomplishing by spending your time in the past is feeling bad about yourself. Okay, so that's a key there. If you're feeling bad about yourself during your training session or during a game, it's probably because you're spending a lot of time thinking about what's happened before, or when this situation happens, how it's always happened in the past. And so that's a really good key there. Future thinking, filled with lots of what if thinking, produces lots of nerves and anxiety. So when you start getting a lot of nerves, feeling a lot of anxiety, that's probably because you're spending a lot of time thinking about what the outcome is going to be, or what you think it's going to be, or you're thinking about problems that haven't happened yet. And a lot of times they're not real. They're not going to be real, but ones that you're producing yourself. Okay. A lot of times we try to think that is protecting ourselves or preparing ourselves for what's to come. There's a difference in that. And when we're approaching it from this point of view, that's not productive, okay? And then the present. The best performance takes place in the present, where the best and most authentic way of living life resides. When I am playing the best pickleball, or I'm drilling the best pickleball during my training, the rest of the world stops. Now, does it really? No, but in my mind, nothing else in the world is happening but what's happening right then. And not what happened before at the beginning of the game or the game before, and not what's about to happen, and not what the next game means, and not where do we stand in the bracket, and how many wins and losses do we still have a chance. None of that. right then, in that moment, when I'm there, I have the biggest smile on my face and I'm playing the best pickleball of my life. Nothing else matters. I'm thinking of nothing else. And even when I miss a shot or I don't execute, it's just a big smile on my face because I'm there and I have the opportunity to play one of the best games in the world, have the most fun doing it. But it's taken me years to get there. So let me just share a quick little story, and then we'll move on because I know we're all busy, right? We all got things to do. Today's Monday. But I remember I was going through, so my life it was pretty tough growing up. I grew up in foster care system, and won't get into all of that. But all it does is that I mention that because it was a lot of not so good things that happened at the beginning of my life, and based on that, I made a lot of decisions that were based on reactive or not a positive response. It was mostly survival, right? So what did that do? That produced a lot of bad decisions. So as I was growing up in life and I was going through a really tough time, and I had some really good mentors at the time, and I would sit down and I would talk with them. Any chance they gave me, I'd sit down and I'd talk to them about it. And one day I was talking to one of my mentors, and he said to me, Thomas, when you get up and you're moving around every day, where do you spend a majority of your time? Do you spend it in the past, in the present, or in the future? And that one hit really hard. But I spent a lot of time in the past in my head. And because I spent so much time in the past in my head, I was always trying to predict the future. I was always trying to foresee what was going to happen. Now, there's a lot of other things that could go with that, but part of it was because I was just trying to protect myself from any bad things happening in the future. But it doesn't just stop there, right? When I'm competing, that same thinking, that same mentality follows me onto the pickleball court, onto the training floor, wherever it may be. And it's when you're getting pushed, when you're getting challenged, when you're getting, you're getting put under a lot of pressure, that's when those things happen. That's when your survival and what you truly believe about yourself really come out. So it's taken a lot of work to go from spending so much time in the past that I was trying to predict the future, but reality is the present. I was missing so much time. I was missing the moment that I was in because I was spending it in the past or trying to predict the future. So if there's anything I could tell you today, that's this. To believe in yourself, you need to be present today. You need to be present now. When it comes to the pickleball, be present in the middle of the game. Don't worry about what's happened. Don't worry about what might happen, because most of the time what we predict is not real. It's not going to come true. Or we work really hard to make it come true, which is usually not a negative outcome, and then all of a sudden it becomes reality, and then we say to ourselves, well, I knew that was going to happen. Of course, we worked hard to make that happen. Okay? So there's so much more that can go with this, but the reality is past, present, or future. You figure out where you are and bring yourself back to the future, back to the present. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. Whether you're following me on Whiteboard Wednesday or you're following me here on Mindset Monday or both, we're always working on putting a plan together. Okay, we're putting the blueprint together, and then we're starting to fill it in, and you start personalizing it to you. But we're filling it in because, as Benjamin Franklin said, by failing to prepare, we are preparing to fail. And you can train your brain, you can train your mindset the same way you can train your body. Okay? If we want to set ourselves up for success, we need to plan for success. And part of that is understanding where we are spending a majority of our time and where we want to be. Okay? So again, I hope this helps you. Feel free to leave a comment on how this helped your game. If there's any other things you'd like to talk about on Mindset Monday, we can make a video about. In the link below, there will be a link to the book, so you can go order it. and get your copy and start reading it. Okay? Again, Thomas Shellwise, Night Train Pickleball. We'll see you in the next Mindset Monday.